Hello, this is Mike 1212. Can you guys all hear me again? I think that there's a small hiccup with my audio. Um, okay, so I was talking about the gauges. Sorry for the hiccups there. There's a little bit of audio problem there. Okay, so that's with the gauges. We have the gauge there. So that's how we can pass our data to the gauge. So let's say we're going to go visualize whatever I have here, and I'm going to open my Arduino, which I have here. So I've written a long code here for doing that. It runs perfectly, and we're going to see. Typically, we're going to use a serial monitor to see whatever we want to see, and it might not be the best to see. As in, it looks too in a debug mode where you can't really see what you're doing. So I wrote this code in here, and I'm connecting to the MQTT server, and I'm passing the data through JSON. So that way it's easy to read whatever parameters I have in there, the values with the parameters. Easy and very simple. So we can see from the terminal, what we see here, we see I'm sending a volt of 230. It's not really connected. That's an imaginary value. I just had to put in the current of 2 amps and the power. It's a multiplication of the 230 by the 2 amps, giving us a 460 watts. And I can see I'm sending an LPG. I'm sending a carbon monoxide. I'm sending the smoke value in the room, the temperature in the room, and then the light states. I have 3 relays and the states in there. So basically for 3 we know it's going to be in hexadecimal. It's we only have 1 and 2 on, but then if the third one comes on, it's supposed to move to 7. That is what it's supposed to be. Okay, so let's see how best we can visualize this and see what we have with this. So I've already showed you how to get the gauge and then push some data. I'm going to load my node here, and I'm going to explain to you how the node is working to pick up the data from the MQTT, which has been transmitted, and then how we are visualizing everything here. Okay, so I'm just going to do this, take this. I don't need that one anymore, so tell it to go away, and they should be empty now. Alright, so I'm going to load it from here. I just have to show you guys my desktop. It's a bit messy. Okay, so I have my node folder. Okay, alright, so I have my node here, I have my main here, and this is my node. It looks clumsy, but that's what everything is. So I come to this sandwich button here, I click import, choose clipboard, and I paste whatever I have here, and I choose import, and automatically whatever I had in there, it gives everything back to me the way I want it to be. And when I deploy this and I come to Jupyter, you realize that it's already visualizing the data I'm looking for here. Alright, so I have light 1 on, I have light 2 on, I have light 3 off. So from the Arduino we can see that that is what is being sent here. Let's change that parameter here. So let me turn light 3 on, and this is real time. It's able to respond to the state of the light whenever we turn it on or off. And once I come back to this here, we can see that we received a command that light should turn on. And we can see the states now, the lights have changed to 7. We can see our temperature being sent from here is 27.83, and when we come here we should see about the same thing being set by the temperature. We can see the value of our carbon monoxide, our smoke, and our upwitch in the room. So this is going to tell us if we have any ingress of any external gas which we don't want in the room. Bear in mind, we can set alarm points on this thing by adding some voices to this, and that is one nice feature about this whole thing. So I can turn my lights off, I can turn my lights on. So this is just a typical web interface where we're looking at, and this is the node we have. So let me just explain what we have here. So I started by since I'm sending everything by MQTT, I just had to come down to that, and then I tell it fine, I'm going to use MQTT. So this is my MQTT in, and we have MQTT out. So I'm coming for the input of MQTT, and I put that one there. So go into the details of that one. You tell it the server you're going to connect to. If the server has a password or anything, you're just going to put all those parameters in there. If you don't have a password on your MQTT server, fine, you just leave this place blank. Birth message, you can leave blank. Wheel message, leave it blank. Connection, the server location, the port, and we don't need a client ID for anything. It will be generated by itself. And so that's it. And the next is the topic we want to be listening to for data. So basically I'm publishing to dev id /pub/dat. So that's where I'm having everything sent to. So basically everything here, you're going to see everything is coming from here as an object, and I'm going to pass it through this JSON here. It's just going to basically split it as a JSON object, and then from there I can do anything with the object I have in JSON. If I should pass, even though I'm sending the JSON parameter out, and I come reading here, it becomes an object, but the object cannot be known by any of the nodes. So you need to put as a JSON that I'm putting a JSON. It's coming through a JSON. So this node here basically splits that into, okay, fine, this is a valid JSON and I can take it out. So it basically restructures it to Node.js's JSON the way it's supposed to be, and that way we can use it as valid data. So I put it through here, and we can see from this point here I'm connecting various connecting endpoints here. So I come here and I have voltage here, and I tell the fine, okay, so name the payload, and what do I want to read from the payload? I want you to read the payload and then read the parameter volt. Bear in mind here, we can see I already sent volts here as a parameter in my JSON here. So any JSON value you want to read, this is going to be the property, and that's the value. The property, the value. So all I just want to tell it, you tell it the property you want to read, and then it's just going to output the value we want there. So I'm just this is the payload, and then out of the payload read the value. So this is a mustache format, and it can be done very simple that way. So it comes there and takes the voltage value, pass it through a function here for me, and the function you can grab from here. You can grab a function from here. Reason why I put a function here was to allow me to set global and variables. So if I want to use it outside the node, I can always call that particular variable and use it outside the node. So that is why I've had to put this function here for me to get whatever values I'm posting in there. So you see I created a global set, and I created a variable called the node voltage, and I'm reading it from the message.payload. The message.payload is what is coming from this this template here, and then I can set it now the old value to 0, and then I can return a message. Bear in mind that the message has not changed. I have not changed the message. I only get to change the message when I put I assign a value to the message, and then I push it out, and that means the message is going to change, but the message not change. So these guys here are just variable setters for me. You might have a different setup for yourself. And then from there I tell you to connect to a gauge here, and you can give a gauge any name, and I decide to choose a compass as my type of gauge here. One thing I didn't talk about is probably someone will be like, oh, my gauge looks small, I want my gauge to be bigger. You can always click on this, the size of the gauge. This is a 5x5 gauge now, and I can change it to probably an 8x8 gauge. And once I'm done and I deploy, we should see the gauge change here. We can see change to an 8x8 gauge size. So that is if you want your gauge. That depends on how you want to set up your whole format here. Someone will be asking, oh, why do you have everything so skewed into the middle? It depends on your base. You can always change your base, and you can set to the size you wish to. Sorry. You can set to the size of the width you want there. So if I want something longer, I can just put like 26, update, I tell you to deploy, and you realize that it splits everything for me. So it depends on the individual and how you want your layout to be like. That's out. So this particular note we have here is repetitive for all these ones, with the exception of the light, where it goes through the function and then comes through a switch here. This switch here acts as an input and output, so that is why we're able to have a real time of the state of the light. So physically, if somebody turns off the light physically on the board, changes the state on the board physically, we should see it update on the interface as well. And that is one thing I really liked about Node.js. So we can see the light here, and then we tell it to push that data back into there. So if I change the state here, I'm telling it to grab this function here and tell it, fine, what am I sending? Message of payload should be what? Command light switch, tell it what to do, and then I use L1 here to identify as the light 1 and the 1 to be on, and you can see 0 here is to be off. So this now pushes that, and then we can grab whatever we need here, so it doesn't send multiple, but I just have to use a reg expression to grab the light to make sure we are sending the right thing. So this payload is what is going to be sent out, and that goes through the MQTT, so it comes back to the MQTT server. And the MQTT server here, because this guy here is also subscribed to this dev ID sub data, whatever data comes in there, this my IoT device can read that, so it's able to read that, and then it's able to act upon that, and that is somewhere we have here on the code here. So basically this section of here is just getting and sending data, whilst this section here, the main loop section here continuously kind of like tries to listen for new messages on the MQTT incoming protocol. That is how everything works on the Node.js here. I don't know if you guys have any question for me, but I don't know if you guys have any question for me, but then this is basically how you can visualize it. I want someone to go out there, try it, and then let me know. You can always send me messages on the group page, and if you need assistance on how to visualize your data. I'm going to talk about another method of visualizing data using Python and then Flask and then Socket.io to visualize your data. That's going to be in a different session here, which I'm going to set the date and time when it's going to happen, but definitely it's going to be around the same time, 5 o'clock. If it's not conducive for you guys on the time, you can just let me know on the main page what time is suitable for you guys, so we can have it there, so we can have much more people participate in this event. So in the absence of any questions, I can see any questions coming up on the page, my YouTube page. There are no questions coming up. So in that case, I believe I already have one person watching this live. So if he's okay with this, I think I'll just call it a day. But if you have any questions, I'm still available. You can just send me a message, and I'm going to respond to you as soon as possible. So thanks for your time, thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and let's see how best we can go with the IoT in Ghana. Enjoy your day, enjoy evening. Bye bye.